Yes, the other three composers are all very close contemporaries. So William Busch, born in 1901, Michael Head, born in 1900, Elizabeth Poston, born in 1905, and Gerald Finzi's dates I can't quite remember off the top of my head, but they were, if not collaborators, they were certainly contemporaries, and part of a very small circle of British composers active in songwriting at the turn of the century. Well, all songs are unique because by its very nature it's a personal expression of reactions to poetry, and every person has an individual reaction even if they're setting the same poem. And indeed many composers of British songs in this period selected very similar poetry, very often 16th and 17th century poetry, and they all came up with very different approaches. What's important to think about William Busch is that he was not really a member of what we now think of as the English pastoral tradition, which wasn't really a tradition of writing songs that were romantic and seemed to hark back to earlier, possibly Elizabethan times. It was all a bit of a fiction, started by the search for folk songs, started by Cecil Sharp and Ralph Vaughan Williams. If I were to name composers who wrote that kind of song, it would be Quilter, would be one of the major ones. William's songs, however, have only half a foot in that world. His ambition and his vocal language is much more European, so you will find much more French, German elements in the music, musical elements, a different kind of tradition. And this mixture is very interesting because it both explores a very old tradition going back into the 16th, 17th, 18th centuries in Europe, and this slightly new pastoral country voice that had taken over somewhat in the English musical language. So, long answer, William is interesting because he's not entirely musically British. We have so much unexplored music written in the UK in the first 50 years of this century, the 20th century. We only explore the very top of it. Everybody loves to hear Vaughan Williams and Elgar, and I could name a half a dozen others. But there were literally hundreds of composers writing beautiful music in the first 50 years of the 20th century, and we never hear it. We might say to ourselves, well, why do I want to hear this? These are second 11 composers. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. And it's discovering the ones that are not, who for no fault of their own, never made it into the popular consciousness, never made friends at the BBC, never made friends at the concert halls or orchestras, were private people. William's one of those. This is Heartland Lyrita project. When Julia first talked to me about this project, it was very much that she was going to get it done somewhere privately. And the more she told me about it, the more I said, well, I think we should be a partner in this project with you, because it's exactly what Lyrita, as a charitable trust, is supposed to be doing. Exploring and presenting first recordings of music that hasn't been heard. The music is surprising because it turns and twists in ways which are unique to this composer. That's quite unusual. All composers have tics, but William doesn't really have tics, but he has a complex language. It's easy to listen to, but it's sophisticated. That's exciting. That they are new is exciting. And that he risks a lot by choosing very difficult poetry A lot of song composers limit themselves to the easy poems. William doesn't do that. He addresses some much more interesting texts.